And here I bees, all congested. I meant to put my bottom graphic up, but I forgot. So you just see me and the bareness tonight. Child, how did this come up? This came up. This topic. This is what we call Tough Topic Thursday, where I talk about something that's usually kind of controversial, something that's bugging a lot of people, something that a lot of people are talking about or wondering about, something like that. And we approach it on this channel from a direction that most people don't, aren't used to hearing. That's what we do. So we call it Tough Topic Thursday, and today's tough topic is a subject that is near and dear to a lot of women, and that is the topic of marriage. Because even though my work primarily here targets single women, the goal for many of the women, while they're here, is to figure out how to become unsingle. They either want to have a long-term relationship, not necessarily marriage, but a long-term committed relationship, or they want, to be married. They, because of their religious beliefs or just some long-term dream that they've had as a child, they want to be married. So, but in thinking about it, you're looking at the way our society is changing, especially the way that women are advancing and men are kind of falling behind, is changing the dynamics of not just our society, but societies around the world. And the concept of marriage as it was originally created is challenging for women now. It's not really meeting our needs. And God, why am I coughing again? Oh no. I know, but my cough was better. Now I'm getting upset. The women were getting, when women get upset about their husbands and their marriages, they get to the point where they get fed up and then they file for divorce. So when you have these guys that come into the chats and they complain about marriage and why women aren't wives anymore, this and that, it's like, okay, but what part of the wives that you want all this tradition, what part of that are you? You want all this stuff, but are you offering that in return? And of course the answer is no. So welcome everybody to the chat. You've made it up to the Debsterism channel here on YouTube and Twitch. It's a simulcast on both locations, so you can watch it either place. I personally think the graphics are better over on Twitch, but there's more people chatting over here on YouTube. So the software I use, I can see both of them. Well, yeah, but Lady Boss, I usually have that part at the bottom where it says what the topic is and all of that. I created it and then forgot to put it up there, so whatever. So let's get started with this. Let me get started. This woman wrote, first I want to talk about what this woman wrote. She put it up on the wall in the comment section under a video about that 5-letter group that starts with an M, which shall remain nameless. She put it up under one of those videos. And she said that she noticed that most of these guys focus on two kinds of posters: those who they assume to be or before single women, and single men who respect women. They don't seem to be too bothered with anyone else, she says. And they really, really hate women who are on the other side of the so-called wall, women who are 35 and up, who not only didn't implode when they matured the way that they threaten young women that they will if they don't succumb to these men's demands, but are thriving where these guys are failing. Women they see as inferior to them are doing better than when without them, it's salt in their wounds. They said they especially don't like women like you talking about men and dating, taking younger women under their wing, educating other women about the dating world and connecting with each other through their experiences. It unites women instead of pitting them against each other and throws lights on the machinations which deprives these types of opportunities to antagonize women. So essentially what she's saying is if we're all working together like we do on this channel, ain't nobody going at each other. We all here to learn and share experiences and lift each other up and support the women who come here who are in pain and lost and confused and just learn. You know what I mean? So everybody who comes here, unless it's an idiot, gets embraced. And, there's warmth and encouragement and support there. And so women feel better about making change when they feel like they have some support in that direction. And she's pointing out that these guys don't like that, because then the women they don't feel lost and confused and they don't listen to their drivel. That's what she's saying. So then she said some other stuff that's really not important about what we're talking about tonight. Then she points out that they like to go to the forums where they can get people riled up and get them all in their emotions. And I had pointed that out before, because they never come with anything constructive, any kind of real conversation. It's all rhetoric, which could basically be cut and pasted, because they all say the same thing and they say it the same way. It's unbelievable. And so she says, they never talk about self-betterment. They don't talk about careers. They don't talk about hobbies or social contributions. They don't do anything. They barely even speak about men's issues unless they can hijack a conversation and blame women for it. It's nothing but hatred against women, purely a thinly disguised hate group. Okay, they say men are leaving the market when it's women who've instinctively been going their own way. Now they don't need a man to survive or thrive. And then they talk about fertility and all this stuff. And she says they want the concessions courting men demonstrating their moral stature extend to women, while complaining about being discarded as not being masculine enough. They say single women will die alone when it's older single men who suffer while their female peers thrive. They don't know what they want. They don't know what they're talking about, parroting that rhetoric. And they don't get where it's taking them straight into irreversible self-annihilation. I like how she writes. Worst of all, these lazy bums, rather than get off their butts and doing something to improve themselves, are constantly hounding women to, quote, lower their standards. Don't they get it? It's men striving to get the women of their dreams and the family package. Men knew back then that women, family, and a home were the catalyst for a man's success in life because of the benefits that it gave to men. Behind every great man is a great woman, they used to say. Men worked hard to get a great woman because they knew that women made or broke them. Now these guys just want everyone to tell them how great they are without doing any other work. They want to start at the finish line. I was like, damn, she is on it. And then she talked about how people laugh at them and all this old stuff. And then she concludes by saying, well, that turned into a long comment. Guess what I meant to say is thanks for putting up content like this, especially considering these annoying trolls and crazy kinds of rubbish the new crop of so-called dating experts try to sell young people on. Common sense is a rare commodity these days. I wish I'd known you when I was in my teens and 20s. It would have saved me a lot of hassle. And I just wanted to, to share that with you in case, because, it's a comment under one video. We had it up to 500 videos now. The most likely is that you would never see it. So I wanted to kind of highlight that, because what she has to say ties into this topic. You've got guys who are basically disqualified as being, they can't even make it to the boyfriend level. And we got women who are doing things and about stuff and educated and making moves and shaking stuff and buying property and doing stuff. They're looking for a man who's going to come to the table with as much or more. Not to mention a good personality, a good attitude, good morals, good values, and be ready to hit the ground running towards something. And you have these man children and these spoiled brats and these demanding little jerks trying to get a woman to pick them, and no woman wants them. So it's creating this real interesting dynamic that I don't think our culture has ever seen, where the women are outpacing men and the men are resentful and angry. So that I think is a big contributor to why so many dudes, once they get a woman, they just, I mean, they realize how much better their life is that she's there. So when the woman gets fed up with their bullshit and she's ready to jet, they go into a panic. And so that's when, that's why I think this murder suicide rate is so high. When women try to leave, the dudes don't want to let them leave. They would rather kill them and themselves than look at a life without this woman in it, though they did not treat her well when she was there. And I thought, okay, this is a show. This is a show. And so this is what we're going to talk about. Let me put on my spectacles so I can see something. You wish they sold common sense on Amazon. They probably do, girl, but it's probably like in that secret Prime, like how they had them secret codes on Netflix to watch secret movies that's not really listed. It's probably something like that. Okay, so I've made myself a little thing because you know how I started talking and get all off into some left field thing. But I just wanted to point out, like, we are right in the middle now between the two days of the year, which one was last year, one was this, but the 2 days of a year that people get engaged on the most. That is Christmas Day and Valentine's Day. Did you know that? Those are the 2 days that are the highest rate of proposals. And you also have a lot of women who are horribly disappointed because those days passed and the ring that they thought they was going to be getting along with the proposal, either it doesn't come, or the ring they thought they was going to get, they don't get. They get like some little friendship ring, or a little microscopic thing you got to look for with a magnifying glass. And so it does, anyway, whatever it is, it doesn't meet their expectations. The relationship and their mate failed them somehow. So then you think about what gets pushed down women's throat about marriage, men, relationships, and kids. I made a list. Because it starts at adolescence, right? We want to, when you get asked at a very early age, well, do you have a boyfriend yet? Or, people start referring to you like, oh, you're going to be so beautiful when you're going to have men falling out. That kind of stuff. You start hearing that stuff as a little girl. They start giving you like play kitchens and play high heels and play makeup and baby dolls and telling you that you're going to be a great mother. I mean, the brainwashing towards motherhood and marriage starts very early. Like when people play, the kids would play house, one of the little boys got to be the daddy and the little girl gets to be the mommy, then somebody else is going to be the baby, the kids or whatever. And so it's like this, it's role playing for girls to get them used to having this as a desirable component of their life. And it's like you can't escape it. It's even if you don't get that kind of stuff at home, once your child sets foot out the door, they hear it. They see it on media, it's on TV, it's in magazines. You just can't get away from it. So what do we have? Wedding related television shows showing fairy tale weddings by designer wedding consultants and stuff. The best dressed kind of thing where people are shopping for the bridal gown and they all crying and it's all this high emotion and all this stuff. Women by the millions watch that kind of stuff. It's bridal magazines everywhere you look. Websites and books and magazines and articles telling you these ultimate lies about how to get a husband, and if he isn't what you really dreamed of getting, then your standards are probably too high because every woman should be able to get a husband. Do you see ads for honeymoons, for engagement bands, for destination weddings, all over social media, all over like billboards and stuff on the sides of buses? I mean, everywhere you turn, you're inundated with this stuff on the radio. Then you hear songs like Beyonce, you got to put a ring on it. And Kate singing Happily Ever After. All this romantic stuff associated with weddings. You singing along. And it's like it's working to help brainwash you to think that this is your ultimate goal. And then, of course, you have the Bachelor type of shows. I watched one time at my cousin's house. I thought I was going to throw up. It's like the fairy tale of pick-meism. And so the ultimate goal of the pick-me is to be the one that he picks. I was so nauseated. That's like I would never demean myself by being on a television show like that. I don't know. So then you add in the moral issues that women are under, right? You can't be a hoe. When you get married though, you're supposed to magically know how to like turn the dude out and all this kind of stuff. But You can't have done it to too many men because otherwise you go move into the whole category. And then you couple that with Jesus and all this other stuff, all these religious things that pound women over the head and to diminish their desires for sexual experiences and pleasure. Oh my God. And then you got guys, doubling down on the other side. You an old maid. You don't have nobody. You just bitter. You going to be a cat living with cats and all this kind of stuff. So all these things work together to set you up to desire something without you ever thinking about if it's really going to benefit you to want this thing. And then before you even know it, like these young women in their 20s and stuff, they finish school and stuff. Okay, well now according to the script, they supposed to be getting married, look for a husband, all this stuff, right? And then they get hit with this, well, you gonna be too old, you about to hit the wall. So now they feel this panic. It's like, oh no, I was trying to be successful and go to school and build a career and stuff, but now they get into this desperately anxious thing where they're starting to feel like there's something wrong with them because they don't have this husband and they don't have this family and all these things that's been pushed down their throat that they're quote supposed to have. Oh my God. It's okay, Van. I'm just saying, when you think of the fuckery that gets pushed down women, so when you put this all together, like looking at anything, one thing individually, it's not as, you don't really see it. It's just like, okay, well, there's a TV show. Oh, those are pretty dresses. Oh, well, but I'm talking about when you look at the grand scheme of how society is set up to push women towards wanting this thing and at the same time pushing men towards not wanting it. So it's setting you up, ladies. It's setting you up to be just basically to fail, to want something that you're never going to get. And the women who do get it, it's it's just a rare thing. So let's talk about how realistic it is for you to seek marriage in 2019 and beyond. I came up with 9 things that I think are stacking the deck against women. 9 things. Number 1, the differences in perception of what makes a good and happy marriage between men and women. I will be going over that. Number 2, men's resistance to and lack of preparedness for being a husband and a solid father. Number 3, men's immaturity and resistance to putting in the work to be the financial success and provide the security that women are seeking. They're very resentful of that concept called hypergamy, where the man is supposed to come with, more than what the woman has and, quote, take care of her and be the, quote, provider. Oh, no, they don't want that. They don't want that at all. They want you to come in and be equal, if not take care of them these days. Number 4, modern men's spoiled brat attitudes, their innate laziness, and their unwillingness to fairly shoulder household and child rearing responsibilities. If they do something around the house, they consider it helping you. They don't consider it as being part of their responsibilities as the father of them kids and the husband of that woman and one of the part owners of that household. Oh no, he's helping you. So that means he never sees it as his responsibility. Oh, I'm only on number 5 and you already tired? Oh no, honey, you better sit down and drink you some Gatorade or something. Number 5, the hit that women take to their career aspirations. Most don't even talk about this part. You assume that unpaid workload from what is called the second shift. And the second shift takes place when you come home from work. You've already done 8 hours at the job, right? So now you come home and you have to, do another 8 hours of work because you cooking and cleaning and doing homework with the kids and doing laundry and doing all sorts of stuff here, right? Shopped at the grocery store, all this stuff. So you're still working. You're still working until you fall exhausted in the bed. And this happens 5 to 6 nights a week. Number 6, women increasingly outpacing men in education and earning potential. Well, potential earning potential because of the fact that they are like overwhelmingly the numbers of people that are getting these higher education degrees. And it's making this hypergamy ideal dream man like, further and further out of reach. Number 7, monogamy is just as difficult and boring for women as it is for men. I have studies to prove it. But women have to deal with male sexual insecurity and judgments if they should dare to be sexually expressive, to the point where women, feel like they can't even really tell men their honest sexual experiences because they can't handle it. So that, I mean, that's what I have to, I have to advise women: keep your mouth shut. I tell men the same thing though. Nobody needs to walk around talking about their number, but guys are so quick to judge, and this is a reality that women have to deal with, that double standard. And then number 8, I only have 9, so hold on. Overall, women's health, happiness, and earnings decrease when married, while men, even when in a mediocre marriage, those things for him increase. Isn't that amazing? And then number 9, the statistics would prove that married men are the happiest in society, while married women are the most miserable. So, and single women are the happiest under single. Okay, it's married men, single women, single men, married women. So you see, the married men are at the top and the married women are at the bottom, and the two groups of singles are in the middle. It's like, okay, so what should we start with? Let's talk about first. Let us talk, because I have so much to discuss. Yeah, that is true. You see all these women. Okay, now let's talk about the second shift. Now, this is an article from Money Magazine. See, money. So, that's all they talk about. They're not concerned with the romantic aspect of anything. They are talking about finances only. So I thought this was a good place to start, since it has to be, we need to address the economic component of dating, relationships, and marriage. I mean, that's a real, it's a real issue. So let's start there. Okay, so they talk about how they can, they want to try to retain their well-trained, well-educated female workforce. These women come in, they're like movers and shakers, they make shit happen, they're great managers, the clients love them, and then the women, they get married and then they stop working because they're on a maternity leave that, rarely come back after that, or they come back years later. Or they're exhausted and they can't really, they have to kind of underperform at work because they need so much energy for the second shift shit that they have to do at home. So those of you who told me, what is a second shift? And how is it that even executive level women are impacted by this? Okay, so this says that the second shift of housework is killing the desire of working women to hold leadership roles, according to Women and the Workplace 2016, a report which was that looked at the career outcomes of 34,000 workers at 132 companies. This study found that, women do more housework and childcare than men at every stage in their careers, but they felt there might be a link between all those additional duties and how high women climb on the corporate ladder. And see, that's true because men have the advantage of having a wife at home to do all that stuff while all they have to do is work, right? They come dragging their ass in if and when they get ready or go on business trips, could be gone for 3 or 4 days and stuff. If you have small children and they're in preschool or they got school to go to, whatever, you don't have that luxury unless you have the money to afford, several nannies and stuff like that to watch your kid. So this research report says 43% of women who share responsibilities evenly with their partner aspire to become top executives, while only 34% of women who do a majority of the housework and childcare have that same aspiration. This trend holds true for men. The more work they do at home, the less interested they are in senior leadership. So see, being a mama and taking care of your house and shit, that shit is exhausting. Even men experience it when they step up or when they have primary custody of their children. Okay, so this basically says, but that women in senior management, now senior management, that's high up on the totem pole. That's like C-level executive, like CEO, chief this, that kind of stuff. Okay, they're 7 times more likely than men at the same level to say that they do more than half of the housework. 7 times. That's a lot. Okay, then let's see. What did they say? Personal. Almost half of the entry level workforce women are women, yet only 37%, that's about a third, a little more than a third, are managers, the next rung up the corporate ladder. The disparity gets higher, larger the higher you climb. 33% of senior management jobs, 29% of VP positions, 24% of senior VP roles, and 19% of executive spots belong to women. And so, they're going on and, they talk about the um, women being basically stuck at middle management, that's a shit place to be. I worked in middle management and I was like, this shit sucks. You can keep that. But if you want to find this article, it's called The Second Shift is Killing the Aspirations of Female Workers, and it's on the money.com website, and I thought it was very interesting. You can read it for yourself. I'm not going to read the whole thing. I just wanted to pull out those key highlights. How more and more men don't work, yet they want the women to act like their female role despite her being the one that makes the money. Well, of course they do. I mean, I'm not going to approach it exactly like that, but I am going to talk about the babyishness of these men and their sense of entitlement. Now, I haven't seen the movie, so I can't comment on that. I don't really watch TV, but I try to see some movies sometimes. If they're on Netflix, I'll see it. All right, so now let's talk about monogamy. Let's talk about monogamy. Traditionally, it's thought that men cheat because they're the only ones cheating because they want more sex, and that women cheat for this emotional connection and they want to feel loved and they want to feel all stuff. That is a fucking lie. That is such a lie. Now, studies have shown that women have more of a need for variety than men do. That the longer the relationship is, the more bored the woman is with the man. What does this mean? This means that, a lot of women have been hiding behind that being a good girl stuff. And, their religious beliefs that's been beat into heads. Like I said, women, our sexuality has always been moderated by men. You get laid. They used to put this big A on a woman if she was found cheating on her husband or even suspected of cheating of him. In some countries, they want to bury the woman alive because they said she cheated or kill her and all this kind of stuff. And the bottom line, though, is that, women are the ones that can hit the multiple O's, right? So wouldn't that tell you that that's the person who enjoys the sex the most? If you can, have that going on for 30 or 40 minutes every 5 minutes or so, why would you want to stop? That's somebody who would enjoy it if the dude could deliver it correctly, but most do not. And after a while, she figures out all his little tricks, and some of them work and some of them don't. And his ego gets involved because he don't want to he don't want to learn nothing, he don't want to try nothing new. Where'd you learn that? He starts feeling threatened. Where did you learn that? And all this kind of stuff. So the women have to hide who and what they are, and the only way that she gets to release that, her full experience, the full range of her sexuality, is with another man, one who's not going to be holding her in judgment and tripping and acting stupid and jealous and insecure. That's why men get cheated on, because they're stupid. So when you look at this, this study, this was a long-term study, and a woman actually even wrote a book about it called Untrue. While nearly everything we believe about women lust and infidelity is wrong, and how new science can set us free. That's the title of her book. And it's all about, sexuality and women. And she says, women also have to consider, that once they're dating, they're out there dating and stuff, if they run into a married man or a man who's otherwise, involved with somebody else, and she starts screwing with him, that people are going to call her names. Or you're a home wrecker, you're a Jezebel, you're a this, you're a that, not really tripping about the fact that, that she couldn't do that with your man unless he was a willing participant and volunteered himself. Okay, so we've talked about this, the responsibility factor there, not to mention so many men lie in the first place. But that's all part of the shaming thing that I was talking about to be the good girl part. All of this works together. I'm not saying that you have to actually be this, but I'm saying the fear of being labeled that is what keeps a lot of women, under control and in line and adhering to social mores that they really don't want to adhere to and things like that. It's the fear of being labeled a hoe, a slut, this home wrecker, this all this kind of stuff. All right, so now here comes her interesting question. The interviewer asked her, how common is infidelity amongst women in the U.S., and how does it compare to the rate amongst men? I said, oh shit, let me sit up and take notice of here. So she says, the rates vary a lot depending on how the question's posed and how comfortable the woman feels in being honest. Because there's still this double standard that is, quote, natural for men to cheat, and that women, so that makes women more likely to underreport infidelity and to report preferences and behaviors that conform to social expectations. Why? Just like I just said, because women don't want to be viewed as being this hoe, this bitch, this slut, this all this old stuff. So this says some sources suggest that 13% of women have stepped out on a spouse. On the other side, there are reported rates of 50% of women admitting that they have had sex with someone other than their spouse while married. And she says that she was surprised to learn that among people in their 20s, married women outpace married men when it comes to cheating. Also, in several U.S. studies, male and female rates of infidelity are much closer than we'd imagine. So why do women cheat? Because they want great sex. So you dudes are hitting it for 30 seconds. Your woman guaranteed to cheat on you. You dudes who think that you can, just do what you want to, and that she's supposed to be ready, willing, and able without you putting in no effort to get her warmed up, get her engine running. She's guaranteed to cheat on you. It might take her 10 or 15 years, but you can bet it's going to happen. These dudes, I don't know what's wrong with them. So then, what I'm trying to sense, what else is that? Oh, she says, so the interviewer asked her, so what are some other widely held beliefs about female infidelity that aren't true? So the author answered, well, in the sense that women won't stray if they are happily married. But more than a third of women who are stepping out in the study describe their marriages as happy or very happy. And but they found that twice as many women reported lack of interest in sex in their relationship after 1 year than men did. Rather than assuming this is because women, quote, just like sex less, which is men's default position, many experts are now considering that women need variety, novelty, and adventure every bit as much as men do, and possibly more. And when they don't get it, they shut down. Bam. It's very important. Guys don't realize how much they will separate a woman and turn her off with their judgments and condemnations and stuff. Like one of the best, that's why I like Aries men, because they don't have none of that. They just like people call them a freak, but I don't really think that it's a freak. I think that what they do is they are so tuned into their own sexuality. They don't give a fuck what's going on, what you want to do. They be down for it, and it's great, and they're welcoming, they're supportive, they encourage you to explore yourself, and what it is you want to do. They're like, well, tell me more, instead of, oh, where you learn that at? It's that kind of thing. So if a woman is married to well, where you learn that kind of, and she meets one of these dudes I'm talking about, it's like, what's your fantasy, girl? Let's make that shit come true. Guess what? Your woman's gonna cheat on you. So this is the kind of thing I think guys need to understand. Well, their testosterone drops if they don't take care of themselves. You gotta exercise and put that meat and that church's chicken and them burgers down, and eat some vegetables and fruit. Do some exercise. You know what I mean? This is just ridiculous. And so the psychologist summarize it very succinctly. Long-term relationships are particularly hard on female desire. We're so sure that it's men who are wired to roam and get bored with monogamy, but women are the ones who struggle, especially with the institutionalization of roles and domesticity, which dampen their desire. That means, dudes, if you can't understand big words, that means that you thinking that you're gonna sit on your ass and watch TV while your woman does all this work all evening is making you. That's one of the reasons why you don't get no ass. Cause she's exhausted and she's resentful and she's turned off, and you're not doing anything to help the situation. Ooh, you never dated Aries, honey. You done missed out. Now don't fall in love with him. Don't do that. Do not fall in love. The Sagittarius either. And, as Leo, both of those are my matches. And we've had some really record breaking good times. But I would never, ever, ever, never, not in this lifetime or the next, marry one of them motherfuckers. That so would not happen. They're good for one thing, and that's it. Anything else, you just don't, you can't depend on them. My husband was a Taurus, dependable as a rock. I like that. And he was a little freak too, so that worked out quite well. But yeah, I can't be dealing with no man like that. Like, investing myself emotionally. That's just not gonna happen. Now let's talk. You divorced. I see, girl. I'm trying to tell you, you should have never made that mistake. You should have talked to me before you went and said I do to that fool. I could have talked you out off that cliff. You don't do that. That's a mistake. That be wanting to do. Yeah, they're narcissists, but that's all right. When all you want to do, right? They're very romantic, very passionate. Very courtship oriented and all the stuff. They do nice shit for you, take you places. They're fun, they're exciting, but you don't marry them because they just crazy. You a Sag and a Sag man is, yeah, they are. They are. All men can be. You know what I mean, but some men, it's like I can handle their level of wholeness because it matches mine. But the ones that's like I'm here and your ass is over there like circling Mars, we not a match. I can't keep up with all of that. That's just a bit much. Oh yeah, honey, T should be knowing the story. I'm telling you, can't do that. All right, so let's move on, and we're gonna talk about this part here about American men and how they're getting less marriageable. Okay, because y'all want to get married, right? Well, have you really thought about the pickings out there? What are you going to be marrying when they A, don't have no money, B, don't have no sense, C, immature as fuck, narcissistic, spoiled, just like big ass babies with beards? I'm a Leo. I think I have some earth in my sign somewhere, and he had some fire, so it was a good match. Me and him. Now I've met other Taurus men, it was not a good match, but I had our charts done one time, and we were like a 90% compatible, which they said was like just unbelievable. So that was a good pick for me. You can't get too much better than 90%. That's about as good as it's gonna get. That other 10%, we fought like bears, but it worked out. All right, so now this article, and this was written in last year, 2018, and it says that the complaints about women not being able to find a man is growing. Somewhere between 79 and 2008, men found that employability and marriageability are deeply intertwined. So, as African American women, as we're going through these traits that make men marriageable, those of you who insist on this nothing but a black man thing have some serious thinking to do. Because basically what you will be doing is shooting yourself in the foot. You look at the highest rates of unemployment, the highest rates of incarceration, the lowest rates of high education. I'm not saying it's their fault or anything like that. I mean, in some instances it is, but I'm not, overall, a lot of it has to do with racism and stuff that they're out of their control. But that's not the point of discussion. We're not here to have a pity party We're here to talk about women in marriage, and that's all we're going to talk about. So we're talking about men who meet the standards to be a husband and men who don't. So you got somebody who's been in and out of prison. His ass can't get a really good paying job, though. His best bet is going to be to start his own business, and that's going to really require a lot of work and some sense and some dedication and some startup capital that he may not have. So he's going to be looking at you. What you going to do? Are you willing to invest in something like that? You also have the risk as African American women of, these men who have been in prison having had, interactions with the same gender while they was up in there. What you gonna do? You have people that get out, they're unemployable, they have, addiction issues, they have all this stuff, they're violent, that's why they went up in there. You trying to have a relationship with this fool and you got to deal with all of that. Is that what you really want? Now, I mean, he might be handsome, he might be able to put it down and all this stuff, but you have to think big picture here, ladies, and that's what I'm trying to get you to do, is to refocus from thinking about the wedding and the pressures that have been socially placed on you to be married, to instead focus on the quality of the man that you would be getting married to. And this is very important. Is Terrell in here acting stupid? Feel free. You guys, you don't need my buy-in. If you see somebody acting stupid and distracting and just being dumb, then just boot them out. You don't need me to say nothing. Just block them and let's just do our thing. So these blue collar jobs where you could get a really good job, like people just work in the car plants and GE and all this old stuff. Okay, you didn't do nothing, but watch out. Those jobs are drying up. I mean, look at what Trump promised all the people about the coal industry. And now the coal mines are closing up right and left, and they sitting there looking stupid because they voted for that idiot. They should have voted for somebody who's more progressive, who would have come in there and set up some tech schools or something to teach them how to do something that was in this century, instead of digging holes, for dried up dirt and shit in the side of a mountain. That shit is like passe. Nobody's gonna be doing that. Them companies need to switch over to solar energy. Something they should have set up some solar energy, building plants instead of some coal plants. Since they had men that knew how to do shit and were used to doing manual labor, they could have done something like that. It was very successful. But instead, they want to keep doing the same shit they've been doing since 1612 and thought that Trump was going to support that bullshit, and then they got their face cracked. Let's see. What does this say? Oh, so they asked a recent results from the World Value Survey where respondents were asked how much they agreed with the claim that if a woman earns more money than her husband, it's almost certain to cause problems. The result broke along socioeconomic lines, with 28% of couples where both parties went to at least some college agreed, while 45% of couples where neither partner went beyond high school agreed. Whoa. Spouses tend to be less happy, more likely to think that marriage is in trouble, and more likely to discuss separation if the wife out earns her husband. Okay, black women, what you gonna do? You sitting up there with your JD, your master's degree, your bachelor's from Pepperdine. You got all this shit happening. You going for this, you doing that. You a mover and a shaker. You got all okay, and then you're looking for a husband who's coming to the table with as much or more than you. When you see in droves, black men are not meeting those standards. What are you going to do about that? Now, I'm not saying he can't make no money. A lot of, the dudes, like some of these dudes working as a longshoreman, or they working, I don't know, maybe he's an electrician, a plumber, or something like that. That's still considered, quote, blue collar, but it's a specialized trade, and they make a lot of money. So, that will require you to think about that, though. If higher education is very important to you and it's not to him, you guys are going to have a very severe value difference, and it's going to be some big battles when it comes time for you to want to send your kids to college and he see how much it's going to cost. He's not going to want to do that. So, these are things for you to think about and discussions that you need to have before you get too deeply involved with somebody and start having his kids and call yourself his wife. You guys have to think outside, just outside of right now and look into the future. And that's what I'm going to be talking about during next month in the what's it called, February, one of the discussions I'm going to have, or it might even have to be a two-part series, I'm going to be talking to you guys about the importance of values in mating, and how you have to pay more attention to those things. And I'll be taking you through what a lot of values are, and what, for when you meet a dude, or you dating a dude, or maybe you already engaged to a dude and thinking about marrying him or whatever, you better run down this checklist and make sure that y'all on the same fucking page, or you're going to be you know yo, they trying to put them 5 letters up. Don't be using them letters here. Yes, but Antonella, that don't type those in here. I don't want to see those, and those are bad. That's a bad word around here, you guys. That shit'll get your shit blocked by Google. They not playing that anymore. Any videos that have that in it, you don't get monetized automatically instantly. They shut that shit all the way down. All right, so that was kind of interesting. Men don't like their female partners earning more than they do, or women feel like if the man doesn't bring in more money, then he's an underachiever. And I think it's really both. I think it's both. So that is an interesting thing. If you have this traditional mindset, which a lot of African American women do because of the influence of the church, where you want to be like submit and all the stuff. The man's supposed to be the leader and all of this. Well, you have women who feel really bad about making more and having more than their husbands, because it doesn't seem like it's following the religious script in there. It really causes a lot of problems there, and it does for the man as well, because then he doesn't feel like he's really the king of his castle, and so there's this innate and this never-ending conflict, where he's going to be trying to assert his authority and, to quote, be the man, being just too aggressive and too bossy and not really cooperative, because he's trying to, get his fragile sense of manhood together. So y'all better really think about this kind of stuff, okay? You really have to think about what I'm talking about here. This shit goes deep. Now, let's talk about the difference in marriage. What are the expectations when you get married? I was reading something, I don't know if it's this, because they say women want to believe that it's a natural habitat, but it's a cage for men. But study after study, which I was going to be talking about here, shows that men benefit far more from marriage than women do. I mean, economically, married men are the ones at the top of the earning pie. They make even more than single men. Look at Jeff Bezos. He went from being nothing to like being a billionaire, owner of Amazon. But his ass fucked around and started cheating with some other woman, and his wife is divorcing him, and she getting half of like $100-and-something billion. She gonna become the 4th richest person in the world. Or is it the United States? But whatever. She gonna be the 4th richest person somewhere, from her divorce. And so that pussy that he's cheating on his wife with, that cost him billions of dollars. So, dude, I hope that's the most fantastic snap and trim that I've ever heard of. That's all I can say. I be looking at that chick like, girl, what you got? You got something fabulous going on down there. I can't even compete with all of that. You got a man willing to give up billions for you, but I guess, how much money can you really spend in a lifetime? You know what I mean? He probably has everything he wants anyway, so it's just sitting in the bank, just looking at him. So let's see. Did you know? They were talking about women initiating divorce, and it says it's not only for the young. A recent AARP survey. So to be an AARP, you got to be at least 50, right? And it says it was like 1,200 men and women ages through up to age 79 who experienced a divorce, found that 66% of the women said they initiated it. So in other words, it's not so much women do really well, and this statistic does not apply in relationships, in long-term relationships. Women do okay in those, but it seems like once the woman gets married, something happens, and the man changes, the woman changes, the dynamic of the relationship changes, and the woman becomes miserable. And then when she gets out of that cage, she ain't trying to get back in it. So you see a lot of women, whoever keeps doing that, just block them. Just block them. Just, girl, don't even explain. Just block. Because they already told them. And, they trying to be hard-headed and shit. So they just get blocked. They just make it to the next one. So it just says, research suggests that there's something unique to marriage, other than the trials of getting along with another person, that make it less than hospitable to women. It suggests that the tendency for women to initiate breakups is not an inherent feature of male-female relationships, rather it is a feature of male-female marriage. Women experience the institution of marriage as oppressive in large part because it emerged from and still carries the imprint of a system of female subjugation. Because you know how they be like, well, my wife this and my wife that. And they feel this real sense of ownership. They want to be able to tell you what to wear, how to wear your hair, what kind of makeup you can wear, where you can go, what time you need to be home, and all this stuff, and just be like the boss of the world, like they some little king on a throne or something, because you married them. That's what I'm saying. Y'all better really think about this. I'm not saying don't get married. So I want to be very clear to people, because they'd be like, well, you just hating, and you got married, and you don't want me to get married. Yeah. It's all this old networking and all this old shit. That's not it. You do what the fuck you want to do. I'm just telling you, you better be like me, though, and pick your man carefully and go into it with both eyes open. Okay? Both eyes, not just one. Both. And you better ask some real hard questions, and you better really talk to him and get in his head and make sure that what he's thinking is something that you really want to deal with. That's why mine, he proposed 3 times, right? And the first 2 times I said no. Well, actually, I said no the 3rd time. But then he said, after I said no, he said, well, I'm not going to ask you again, so I'll give you, you better think about it before I leave. And so then I thought about it, then I said, oh. So actually, I turned him down 3 times. But it was because, we had some stuff to work out. We had stuff to work out. And I needed to make sure that he was willing to change those things that, his preconceived notions about what a quote wife was, because I knew I wasn't going to be that woman. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be that chick. So, I mean, if that's really important to you, then you in the wrong spot. You need to keep it moving. Just roll out. But, he decided he would rather change than be without. So there you go. That's how that happened. Yeah, this subjugation shit, I don't know about that. And what it says here, it sounds that people's expectations also play a role in marital satisfaction, and that's very true. And they gave an example where it says that women's expectation for marriage is very high. I mean, think about all the brainwashing that we get, right? And all the expectations that are built, how our life's going to be so happy, and we're going to be validated as a woman, and we're going to be Mrs. So-and-so, and we're going to have this beautiful, happy 2.5 children in this house with the white picket fence. It's going to be all wonderful and joyous, and we're going to grow old together holding hands, and all this stuff. That's the fantasy that women have about marriage, right? And then it comes up against the harsh, cold reality that this is a bunch of bullshit, and this man is not hardly no prince on a white steed. He's a knucklehead. And then, but men have extremely low expectations of it, right? So when they finally do work their way around to get married, then they say, hey, this isn't really so bad after all. I kind of like this. And the first inkling I had of that happening was when I was working as a trainer, right? And this couple, I was doing their new member assessment, and I had done the wife's, and then she brought her husband in for me to do his. And so I was talking to him about my relationship advice column and all that stuff. We were at the gym, but we talking about that. And found out they had been married for like 40 years or something. And so then I asked him, I said, well, how do you, what made you decide to get married? And, you talking about you didn't really want to get married. I said, but what made you change your mind? He's like, oh, I really loved her. And I thought, oh, why not? And then once I got married, I was like, wow, this is kind of great. I should have done this sooner. Because they were old. He didn't marry this woman until he was like 40. And so the wife was just standing behind him, rolling her eyes. And he was like, I get my food made for me, and my clothes are always clean, and there's somebody to love me up all the time. That's how he was talking. I was like, oh my God, this dude is crazy. Well, whatever she did, earned it, supported him while he earned it, I don't give a fuck. She getting half. I'm about to go over there and be her best friend. Like, girl, where you been at, girl? Yeah, she had to earn that, because he was something else. Not to mention Amazon was failing at first and almost went bankrupt at first. And then something happened and it started catching on, and then that was it. And then they say that the AARP survey pointed out that men will often stay in a bad marriage out of fear of losing touch with their children. And what's so amazing though about that though is when you think about how much contact 99% of men have with their children when they actually live in the house and are married to them, it's very little. They come in from work, they don't really want to be bothered. They tell the kids to shut up, and then their little kids, they go to bed at 8 o'clock. He comes in at 6:30, eats dinner, and sits in front of the TV. So then the kids come in and say good night, Daddy. So I mean, when is he actually spending time with them? Sometimes on the weekend, but usually he want to go fishing with his buddies or go do his thing at the gym or go out, whatever. He's not really interacting with his children. So when you have this thing where they're complaining about, well, I might lose contact with my children, that's some narcissistic bullshit. You don't really care about them kids. You just don't want to be away from that woman so you can keep tabs on what she doing. I know that game. It says, conversely, an unsatisfied woman's decision to leave may depend in part on her employment status. For example, this study done out of Ohio State University suggested that unsatisfied women are much more likely to leave if they are employed. And she got money. She don't have to stay. She's economically independent, which is one reason why so many men don't like the woman making more money than them. And some men don't even like the women to work at all. They want to keep her at the house broke, having to ask him for money to even buy a box of tampons. So, it's a very interesting dynamic. Men in this control thing. So then she says that women have reached a point where they realize that in marriage they work harder for a smaller share of the benefits, which may explain why, while they are often more eager to get into a marriage, they are often also more eager to get the fuck out. I added the fuck. So, you know what I mean? It's like, this brainwashing thing where you think that this marriage and this man is going to bring you all this personal fulfillment. I mean, you see it a lot when you talk to married women. They're so sad and they feel so lonely and they want this connection with their husband who doesn't have it. Now, somewhere in all these notes, these different things I was reading, these different publications, I saw something that was really interesting. They talked about why men get married to the women that they marry. And it might not be the reason that you think. They get married because of her. Whereas women are socialized to want it. It's like we have this frame of marriage about our life with marriage and kids and all this stuff. And we look for a man to complete that picture. Men don't do that. Well, some do, but the majority don't. Some dudes do get raised up to expect to have a wife and family and all of that. But most don't. And so the woman has a different, she has a different expectation of the marriage. And the guy is getting married because he wants to be with her. He likes her. And I've often told you guys that when a couple split up and divorce, men's relationship with their children is based on how they feel about the mother. I must have told you guys that 500 times. I had noticed that over the years, but this study that I just read this morning kind of reinforced that. I was like, okay, well, this makes sense. There's like scientific evidence that men marry because of how they feel about that woman. And the woman is looking at, well, I mean, I love him and everything, but she needs more emotionally, whereas he basically just needs her. He doesn't care. He doesn't need kids. He doesn't need a family. He doesn't need a nice, clean house. He doesn't need a nice, safe car. He needs her. And that's why a lot of guys, their only friend is their woman. The only person who they tell secrets to and who has all their stress and who is the brunt of all their emotional frustration and everything else is their woman. And they don't realize, that's too much burden to put on one person. And if you're a woman and you don't want to be dealing with that stuff, you better really think about what you're getting into and make sure your guy got some friends and some hobbies and shit so he has an outlet for his emotions. Otherwise, you're going to be getting all of it. And so that's why these guys are so devastated when, the woman starts withdrawing emotionally and she doesn't want to have sex with him. She's mad at him. She's resentful. She feels uncared for. No, they can't even connect those dots. All they think about is, well, I got married because I wanted to be with you and now you don't want to be with me. And they forget about what they did to make her not want to be with him. It's like, I was explaining to a lady at work today. It's like they're looking at, well, okay, so-and-so has a cold and they're going to treat the cold, but they're not treating why why did this person get the cold? Well, maybe their immune system is weak. Maybe they're not eating well. They have poor nutrition. Their body is, weak and broken down and susceptible to viruses and bacteria. I mean, there's something that you have to fix so that this problem won't happen again, and this problem will help the body to heal. It's the same thing with your relationship. If you got a relationship that's sick, your relationship has a cold, your woman is distant from you, she's resentful, she's angry, she don't want you to touch her. Well, that means you have something sick and something wrong with your relationship. You need to fix that instead of just saying, well, you're not giving me none. You trying to address just address the sickness, but you're not addressing the root cause of the sickness. It's like these dudes are just so fucking clueless. And so then you have a woman who's dealing with that shit for years and years and years. Don't you think she gonna get tired of that shit eventually? And then she want a divorce. And you're like, well, I don't understand. We were so happy. Why are you leaving me? And she's like, motherfucker, I done told you 500 times that you suck and you just don't want to hear it. Oh my God. Oh, I don't want to talk about that. Okay, let me see this. What is this that I clamped together here? What is this? Oh, well, no, we weren't going to talk. I was going to talk about the murder-suicide rate and how men you can't seem to let go. Well, it was. I thought it was a little more than that. Okay, well, whatever. Okay, now let's see. Oh, here it is. This is the article that I was talking about. It says women go into marriage for the marriage. Men go into marriage for the woman. Yes, you get the house, you get the car, you get the stuff, you get the kids, you get the dude. She says, but I can't tell you. She can have close, intimate relationship with any one of the people on her list, her friends, her sister, her mother, her job, whatever. The other kids and the mothers in the play group, all the stuff. But for many men, that woman is the center of his life. He loves his house, he loves his kids, but his focus is solely on her. And so they need to feel connected to their wife, and how they do that, because they're rather simple creatures and they don't know how to connect emotionally with words. They do try to do it through sexual activity, and they also want their wife to admire and respect them, and all of those things are what makes the man happy in his marriage. Okay, well, that's great, but what if you have a man who's not holding up his end of the bargain? He's not making no money. He's, laying down and he's like half working. He don't want to clean up nothing. And he wants you to do everything. And then he just want to sit around and demand that he be treated like a king and that you submit to him and all this kind of stuff. I mean, how does that work? And these are conversations, I'm telling you, ladies, you better start having these conversations with these dudes you dating before you start thinking about marriage. Because a lot of you just think, I just want to know where this is going. He won't commit. Remember, we had a letter on Tuesday from this little Indian girl talking about her boyfriend wouldn't commit to her. Some dude she saw a couple of times a year, and who was flunking out of school, so that he ended up being 3 years behind her, and they started in the same grade, but she was finishing her PhD and he was just starting. And how, then he got arrested for molesting somebody. So, this dude is like a loser. And all she had been thinking about is why he wasn't committing to her. So, see, that's what I'm saying. Sometimes women get stuck on fulfilling this societal expectation of what a woman is, quote, supposed to do as far as being married and, having this man in her life. It's like some kind of validation or something of the ultimate pick-me-ism. And you guys need to really learn how to validate yourself. It's nice if you have a dude. It's like having a cake, right? Like a good, this nice, tasty, moist, sponge-like little cake. And that cake is bomb by itself. And then you put some whipped cream on it, well, it takes it up another notch. See, to you should be that really good bomb-ass cake. And then he could be the whipped cream that makes it, a little more interesting, a little more flavorful, a little more different. But it's still good even if it's by itself. That's how you need to think about yourself and stop thinking that you're nothing unless you have a man. That you're nothing and not good enough for something, and this is something that you have to strive for. You're more likely to attract a guy who is about something when you take yourself out of your element. What does that mean for women? That means get out of the neighborhood that you grew up in. I don't give a fuck if you have to move to another state. Do something to change your environment so you get around different people. Start going to different types of places. Like if you always go to hip hop clubs, well, take your ass to a jazz club for a change, where the adults go and people with some fucking money. Okay, go places like that. Put on a nice dress. You don't have to wear hoochie gear everywhere you go. Put on something that's sophisticated and sexy. One of my favorite dresses is cut about right about here in the front, but it goes down to the mid back in the back, and then I wear a necklace that goes here, and then the necklace part is in the back. Okay, my husband used to love the fuck out of that dress. But it was like, so from the front you look very demure and, almost chaste. But then once you turn around and it fitted, you can see that booty going bam! And it fit through the hips and thighs, and then the back was at a deep V. See, that's the shit I'm talking about. It's sophisticated, sexy, but it's mature, and it's not showing half your ass, because the dress came almost down to my knees. It was very elegant. And, that's how, if you're a mature woman and you're in your mid 30s and up, you don't need to be going places where you be showing your ass and acting a fool. You're going to attract ghetto hood rats dressed like that. That's the kind of shit that they like. If you need some consultation, women are wearing blonde, they got blonde shit and red and blue shit, and your ass is 40 years old, you look like a fool. Get your act together and grow up. And, if you want to talk about you want to get married, you want to have a man of class, you got to present yourself as a woman of class. You can't be looking like a 12-year-old 15-year-old high school student. You can't do that. If you need some itch to hire an image consultant and look and dress the way for the kind of man that you want to attract, the kind of relationship that you want to attract, the kind of lifestyle that you want to attract. Only people who live in the hood, dress and act and wear their hair and stuff like that. All these bright gold nails and all this old shit. That's hood rat shit. You will never see somebody in corporate America looking like that, making $250,000 a year. There's a certain appearance style that goes with every level of life, okay? And if you want to stay at the bottom and you're going to keep looking like you at the bottom, well, that's as far as you're going to get, because those doors above you are going to be closed. And that's going to include men who are above that level. So you got to ladies, you got to change some shit. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that dress was beautiful, honey. I wore the fuck out that dress. Well, you can wear some cleavage, but it don't have to be showing like a nipple level cleavage. I knew this girl who tried to wear a dress like that to a wedding, and her hairdresser had to tell her that was inappropriate. What is wrong with you? Why would you wear a dress like that? I don't even know if you could wear that to a nightclub, because you can't move, because then shit'll be flying out. But she wanted to wear that to a girl's 5 o'clock evening formal wedding. This what we used to call a nipple dress when I was in college. So it's so low cut, it just comes right around. It covers your nipples. That's how much of your boobs it shows. I'm like, oh my God, what in the world? You in a miserable marriage? You're terrified of being a single mother? Girl, how many kids you got? I was going to talk about that. You know what? You will find that instead of being afraid of being a single mother, you're going to have more time, because he's going to have his kids on his visitation. And you will have free time that you never had before. He will be paying child support. And, you might have to downsize a few things. You know what I mean? You won't be able to have maybe all the channels on cable. But you know what? With little kids, they need to take their ass to the library. They don't need to be watching TV anyway. Figure out where you can cut corners, cook more, make more inexpensive foods like soups and stews and, spaghettis and pastas, the dishes and stuff like that. I mean, you can make it work, girl. You can do that. Don't be afraid of breaking free of pain. Pain will keep you stuck. So you don't make a plan. Just sit down and make a plan and figure that out, like how much money you need every month, and then figure out how you're going to get it. Consult with an attorney. See how much child support, anticipated child support you would be getting for the kids. And then, work out a budget and make sure that you stick to it. You can do this. You can make that happen. There's no reason why your children should see you suffering. Parents think, well, I'm just going to stay here for the kids. Your kids see you miserable. That does not help them. That does not help them. They need to see you happy. When the mama's happy, the children are happy. And if you're angry and upset and crying and fearful and all that stuff, stressed out, it makes your kids that way. So you have don't be thinking about you being afraid to be a single mother. You know they'll work with you. Little kids love their mama. They love it, so they will do whatever you want them to do to help. If they old enough to help wash dishes and clean the house and all that kind of stuff, girl, you got it made. They might have to do some, pitch in more and grow up a little faster, but it'll be all right. Ain't nobody ever died from their parents getting a divorce. Shit, I would be like, ooh wee, I could not do that. Yes, likes up and please become a subscriber. I'm trying to. We was like 970 whatever. So we need like 20 something more people. 900 and wait, I forgot. But anyway, I thought I saw something where it looked like we need like I don't know 20 something more people to make the 15,000 mark. So it really isn't that far away. And if people subscribe tonight, we could make it. We could make that happen. What is this? Okay, this is good. This is just in time for Lutz. Single versus married parents. Okay, now it says here, single parents do not typically have the luxury of dividing tasks between two adults, and the couple in a married couple family may be able to divide the task so that one parent specializes more in work-related and income-producing activities and the other one in home-related non-income-producing activities. However, in the African-American community, that is a rarity, where the brother's making enough bank that the wife don't have to work and just stay at home and take care of the kids. So usually the women are doing both, and all he's doing is one. Okay, so then they talk about married men avoid the full impact of the double burden. The double burden is home and family, of taking care of both. Married men avoid that because the women usually pick up that slack. But the single father, he feels the whole burden just like the single mother does. The worst one who gets it worst is the married woman, because not only does she have to take care of her home and her job and the kids, she also has to take care of her husband's needs. So then she got like a quad thing going on instead of just the kids and her job and her the house. You left your husband like he was the Titanic. Shut up, fool. She's so crazy. Ah. And so like even if you are married, I had a friend who was married, and I used to see how she lived her life. Her husband was right there in the house, came home from work every day, but her life was just as burdensome as mine after my husband died. So I'm sitting up there being the single mama, and I had shit more organized and easy to her, because at least she had two kids. I only had the one, and our lives were no different. She was the one picking the kid up. She was the one taking the kid to the doctor. She was the one staying home if they were scared. And sick or whatever. She was the one getting up in the night, if they're sick or whatever. Changing diapers, feet, making bottles, all that stuff. He never did anything. So when I pointed out to her, she's like, well, I'm scared to leave because then I'll be by myself. I'm like, you already by yourself. The only thing he does is give you some money. And it's like he's paying child support. The motherfucker making like $150,000 a year. He gonna be paying a grip in child support. So, and then he would have to come and get these kids, and you would finally have some free time. So sometimes it's women are afraid for change, but the change actually turns out to be better for everyone. Everybody's happier because it's just things just happen in that way. Now let's talk about. I already talked about that. This study that says, why do men resist marriage even though they benefit from it most? And we touched on this earlier. And I think this is important for a lot of women to hear, because you feel like, men run from marriage and men feel like they should be running from marriage. And the bottom line is that men would benefit from marriage at an earlier age. They would get further along in their career faster. Corporations see them as more stable. The married men are more likely to get promoted over the single men. They're likely to get bigger bonuses, more raises, and more opportunities because they, quote, have a family to take care of. So it's like there's this cult of, quote, family men and all the single guys are on the outside of it. The married dudes with children and wives are on the inside, and they support and take care of each other. This is not really much discussed in corporate America, but it is a very true fact. It's a very true fact. So let's see. Yeah, married men, in addition to being happier and healthier than bachelors, because they get more trim too. Married men earn more money and live longer. And this is what I was talking about, even from mediocre marriages, they still reap some benefits that women don't reap. It says young men associate marriage with increased responsibilities and a greater possibility of financial loss. And that's what we hear a lot here on the channel from the group that come in from that 5-letter acronym. Well, you're just going to take, we shouldn't want to get married because they're just going to take all of our money. They're going to just leave us and take everything. And so that, they're young and that is what they think. And these guys reported in a study, they found that these resisted marriage because they feel like they can enjoy the benefits of marriage without actually getting married through cohabitation. And they don't get the pressure that women do, not to marry, not from family, not from friends, not from the families of the woman that they live with, nothing. And they also are afraid that if they get married, that the girlfriend turned wife will start telling them what to do and how to do it. That's your third beer tonight. Why don't you stop drinking? Or you need to go to the doctor and get that mole checked. Or you've been working late every night, running yourself ragged. It's time to cut back before you get sick. Okay, so that's a wife worrying about her husband's health and longevity, and he sees it as her nagging and telling him what to do. Idiot. It's like, shit, work yourself into an early grave. I don't give a fuck. Let me go get another insurance policy on your stupid ass. So that when you croak, I'm going to be a billionaire. That's how I would do it. I wouldn't tell her. I would just make it seem like I'm a benefit from it. Next thing you know, that motherfucker be at every doctor, just have 12 appointments lined up and be on the couch sitting there looking at you resting with some beet juice in his hand. Because he just wanted, you know what I mean? He's like, no, I'm not going to die and leave her, millions. I'm going to live forever. And so it's like reverse psychology. I mean, she ultimately is getting what she wants, but she has to do it in a way where he doesn't feel like she's telling him what to do. Men are so stupid. So it says here, marriage brings large changes in identity for men, and those changes are all in the direction of the expectation of increased responsibility to care for others. So that means, stepping into that role of head of household, as father, as, disciplinarian, as, companion to his wife, real problem solver for the family, goal setter for the family, other stuff. They don't want that. It's like responsibility that indicates that he's grown up now and that he's a big boy. They try to put that off as long as possible. Some of them will be married and still put that off, and the women just step up and take care of it. I would not do that. If you got a guy who's trying to run from responsibility and stuff before you even marry him, that's a poor bet for a husband. He should see himself as a provider and a protector and your lover and a great dad and a responsible member of the community and society before you say I do. It don't ever have that thing, well, after we get married, it'll be different. After we get married, he'll change. After we get married, I'll make sure that he's a better guy. It's not going to be like, he's not going to change. What you see is what you get. And then women, it says some working class women revealed in interviews that they resist marriage because it's harder to get out of them than if you're just living with the dude. And I know that would be my thing. I love that flexibility. I was telling a woman about that today. I don't like live with you so that I can just decide like 10 minutes from now that I don't want to be here no more and then I'm out. And they felt that women would expect a more traditional division of duties by gender in marriage than is expected in cohabitation. They knew that the men would change after getting married and that the change would be negative for these women, so they resisted getting married. Interesting. So all in all, I mean, we could go on with this forever. All in all, you're seeing in the chat room, if you've been paying attention, testimonial from women who are actually married. I've, of course, interacted with thousands of women over the years, and A lot of them are single and they in bad relationships, but they want to get married to the chap that they in the bad relationship with. Those are the ones who I was just talking about at the top of the show, who are victims of their socialization. They're not, because women aren't really necessarily taught how to look for a man. That's why that video I did on vetting is so key to your dating success. And the one of the most important decisions that you can make in your life is the man that you marry. Your partner, your spouse, that can either take you to the moon with joy and passion and success, or it will have you just under a rock, just looking, just all kinds of toe up and beat up, and living with pushing a shopping cart up and down the street and living in a tent in the park. So you have to, though, ladies, not get, that's why I'm pointing out what the socialization was. And so I want you to go away and think about, as you reflect on your life, what kind of messages did I get that I needed to be married, and who gave them to me, and how right were those messages? Why did I not question them before? And if I do these things and I try to, achieve these things, how is it going to benefit me and improve my life? Or will I just be one of those women blindly jumping into something just to say I have a husband who, and the situation brings me down? It costs me money. It costs me joy. It costs me my body. It costs me my health. It costs my hair start falling out from the stress of dealing with this lying, cheating, abusive motherfucker. I mean, is it going to be baby mama drama? I mean, think about everything that comes with this man. And I hate, you need to be selfish. You need to be selfish, because when you get in a marriage, women automatically are givers, right? You love somebody, or a little kid, you want to be kind, you want to be supportive, you want to give to people and take care of people and love people up, and that's what you're going to bring to your husband. And this emotional currency is something that men just expect, and they don't really place a lot of value on it. But you keep giving in a void where nobody's giving back to you, nobody's refilling your emotional cup. You're going to end up depleted and depressed and looking like shit on a stick. You can't do that to yourself. You cannot do that to yourself. So, I mean, this is going to be hard, because for a lot of you, it's going to challenge some deeply held beliefs, something that you've always thought that you wanted, that you were going to, you imagine yourself being somebody's wife and all this kind of stuff. And I'm still saying, and I'll repeat, I'm not saying that you can't have that. I'm not saying that that's not a goal. What I am saying is, I do not want you to go into it blindly, just like, on some auto tip thing. I want you to think about each component of what your expectations are of a marriage and of a husband and of yourself as a wife. Think about it realistically. Okay, well, this is what I've been told that I should do, but do I really want to do that? And why did I think that this is the only way that a marriage can be? And what would work better for me if I were to get married? Or maybe I don't want to get married. Maybe I just want to live with somebody. Maybe I don't want to even live with nobody. I want to have his own spot and I have mine, and we just get together and have a good time and then go our separate ways. I mean, you work out what's going to work for you. Don't think that there is only one way for you to live your life as a woman. You can be happy with any kind of lifestyle that you want. You know what I mean? And you don't have to please nobody but yourself. So you gonna have your relatives saying, well, when you gonna get married? And you gonna have men online, well, you ain't married. Don't pay any attention to them, because just like they're telling you that you're not married, those motherfuckers ain't married either. Don't nobody want their crusty, dried up, roach looking asses. No, nobody wants them. But they're trying to figure out how to a way to make you feel bad and to shame you, using those social rules that we discussed at the top of the show, in order to make you feel bad, lower your standards, and accept them and any other roach like them, just to say that you have a husband. Do not fall into that trap. That's what a lot of women do. He just was I'm just tired of being by myself. And then, 10 years later, your ass is looking like a whipped puppy and trying to figure out how to get out of that shit. And now you're broke. He done wrecked up your credit, wrecked up your car, wrecked up your life. And you sitting up there thinking, oh no, why did I think that I needed to get married so bad? I want you to do that thinking now in advance. That is the whole point of this show. I have seen too many young women come through here having been dragged through the mud, worrying about being married without thinking one bit at all, what is this marriage about? And is this going to be any good for me? Do I really need to do this to myself? What is my goal here? How is this helping me? Or is this just going to be an albatross around my neck? A lot of you are soaring really high. You're soaring really high. You're doing great things. You get these young women. They in college. They are just doing the damn thing. They're writing me letters and say, you encouraged me to get a passport. I went here. I went there, and I went. It was so great. There was one who wrote me that she went on a cruise and she met these other girls, and they're gonna go on a cruise together now because they're all little adventurers. And I'm like, okay, that's good. You guys don't stop on a cruise. Get off the cruise. Get on. Just fly in somewhere, and and go walk around. Go to some place that you never thought that you was go. And so she's on. She's starting. She's doing it. That was the best letter that I could have gotten. That just really made my spirits high. And because I'm trying to do this, and I don't really hear back from that many people, a couple here and there. But she wrote me, she told me the details about how the changes that she made with, with my encouragement. And that's what I want you guys. I want you to live your best life. That's what this, isn't that what's in my promo thing? Live your best life, but you got to have the courage to do it. You have to have the courage to break out of the box that you've been raised up in, to think a certain way and to be a certain way and act a certain way. You don't have to do any of that shit. You be the woman that you fucking want to be, the one that's going to make you happy. Okay, that's the key. You have to be happy with the woman you are. It's like, when you look in the mirror in the morning, that's what, you need to look in the mirror and you be like, hi, bitch. What the fuck is going on? You is the shit, and talk yourself up like that. Tell yourself positive things that boost your self-esteem and boost your confidence. I mean, it may sound funny, you may be laughing or whatever, but do you think, like, a lot of people look in the mirror and they start picking themselves apart? Oh, you so ugly. Ooh, you need to lose weight. And I hear them say that kind of stuff in the restroom. And I just look at them and say, you need to stop telling yourself that, because the messages that you give yourself sink in. You need to switch that up and tell yourself how great you are, and then you'll believe that too. But whatever you tell yourself, you're going to believe it. And if you tell yourself, and you let these dudes get into your head and tell you that you nothing because you don't have a man, and you're going to have cats, and you ain't shit because you ain't married, so it invalidates any thought that you may have, and that your degree don't keep you warm at night, and all these negative, nasty things. Ain't no man get married before education. He want a woman to cook and screw him, and then and there. And you try to lower your level of achievement and reduce your shine in order to meet some miscellaneous stray nignogs standards of what he thinks he wants. They don't know what the fuck they be talking about. They don't know what they want either. They just be talking. They just want to see how much control they can have. Please don't listen to them. Just do you, okay? You need to live your best life, and just, not everybody's meant to be married. Everybody's meant to be married. You might decide you just want to, have a long time man. I mean, look at Tina Turner. She was with her dude for what, 20 years or something. After she left Ike, she was with this dude, the European dude, and they just got married like last year or something. I remember seeing it. Yeah, Oprah was at their wedding over in Europe some damn where. And she's living her best life. You know what I mean? So you don't have to be married to have love and commitment. I mean, I do advise that you either get married when you have children, or set up some legal, protections for them as if you were married. Because you don't have to be married. You can set up wills and trusts and all this stuff regardless. But just think about your children's future and their security, if you do opt to do that. And I just want people to think about, the pros and cons of marriage, the pros and cons of your expectations of marriage, the pros and cons of his expectations of marriage, and what it means for you two people to merge your lives as husbands and wives. You have some very honest, very open, very deep and probing conversations before you get all caught up in the romance. Because, that shit lasts as long as the wedding, until the honeymoon, I guess, by the time you come back. And then you start, the wedding, the real shit happens. And you could have lived with him for years, but once you become his wife, watch his head spin around like the Exorcist, and he gonna change it to something else. It never fails. So you need to know what you're getting into. That's all I've got to say. You need to understand what is happening. So let me take a moment and review Nick Nog be gone. That's it. That's on my promo van. Live your best life. That's my new theme here. That started that theme in 2018. It was awesome. Thanks, Dad. Thanks, Lady Boss. Your credit score is good now. Good for you. And you at peace. Your kids are happy. Girl, that's all that counts. You want your kids, you want them to have the good home life as a launching pad to their success in life. And that needs to be calm and stable for them as well as you. And the only way you can provide that for them is if you're there yourself. Because they feed off of their mama way more than they do their fathers. Children feed off of their mother's energy. Mama need to be calm, happy, and so they will feel secure, happy, and safe when they come home or even when they just think about you. Kids love their daddy too, don't get me wrong, but every child, I mean, like you think about, I remember seeing this thing we were talking about, this guy was interviewed about what happened in the Vietnam War, when he was there, and he was commenting that how amazing was you see these big old tough Marines, dudes and everything, and then they get injured, and the first thing they do is start crying and calling for their mother, not their daddy, mama. And so that really, I was just a little kid when I remember reading that, hearing that rather, and that really impressed me with the connection that even adult men that tough got there killing folks and living with bugs and snakes and shit like that, they still want the comfort of their mother. So that is very important. Ladies need to understand how important you are to your children. I mean, that was some deep shit. I was glad I heard that. But that's why I say, stop. Don't think about yourself. Think about what is the life is you're in this raggedy ass relationship with this raggedy ass man that's mistreating you. Your children are hearing and seeing this mistreatment. They're seeing you take it. They're seeing him do it. He's modeling a relationship for them. Is that the kind of relationship you want them to have? Do you want them to think that that's normal and okay? If you don't, then you need to get off your ass and do something to change the example that your children are seeing for love and marriage. Thanks, Andrea. Yes. You gut puncher, Dusty? Yeah. You guys, I'm glad to see everybody, showed up to hear this and contributing their thoughts and experiences. That's very meaningful to me. That makes the show better, because not only can people listen to me, they can read your testimonials and your ideas and your experiences about what you went through. So I appreciate everybody's contribution that helped make this show great tonight. I hope that the young women that heard it really take these words to heart and really give this some thought. Don't just blindly follow behind people and just listen to because your parents said it and your pastor said it and some book said this is what you need to do and Steve Harvey said it and Oprah said it or whatever. I don't like. I will give people advice when they write, and I give you ideas to think about on your own. That's how I operate. I don't tell you, don't do this and this, but I'm telling you these are some things that you should consider before you make the decision that's in your best interest. It's gonna help you live your best life, okay? Because your best life idea might be very different than my best life idea for me, but I just want everybody to be happy. I just want everybody to be satisfied. I want all of you to go out into the world feeling good about yourself and confident in your ability to make good decisions. That's the key thing. Not to make a decision that's going to please other people. That's going to please you. That's my goal. All right. So thank you for coming. I will be back this weekend, probably Saturday, maybe Sunday. Who knows? And we will be talking some more about some aspect of dating and relationship as we gear up for Video a Day February. That happens. So be sure to become a subscriber so you get notifications when the new videos are uploaded. There'll be a new video every day the month of February around here. This is an annual tradition. But this is Deb Cooper signing out. Visit me on survivingdating.com, and I will see you guys on Saturday or Sunday, one of them. Bye.